The Countering Turkish Aggression Act of 2024 is a serious response to Turkey's actions. This bipartisan bill, introduced in the US Senate on December 20th, 2024, aims to hold Turkey accountable. Senators Chris Van Hollen and Lindsey Graham spearheaded this effort. They want to counter Turkey's military operations in Syria. These operations are against Syrian Kurdish communities. The US sees these communities as vital allies. They were instrumental in the fight against ISIS. The act's title, Countering Turkish Aggression Act of 2024, sends a clear message. It reflects the U.S. quote, S stance on the issue. The bill seeks to deter further aggression. It also aims to protect US allies and interests in the region. The situation is complex. There are potential ramifications for US-Turkey relations. It also has implications for NATO dynamics. The international community is watching closely. The outcome of this bill will have far-reaching consequences. This act is a big deal. It shows how important the situation is. The US is trying to find a peaceful solution. Section 2. Turkish aggression in Syria. Turkey has been conducting military operations in northern Syria for several years now, with the stated aim of securing its borders and neutralizing threats. These operations primarily target Kurdish groups, which Turkey views as extensions of the PKK, a designated terrorist organization. The US, however, sees these Kurdish groups as vital partners in the fight against ISIS, having worked closely with them on numerous operations. Kurdish fighters have been instrumental in combating ISIS, often fighting side by side with US forces in some of the most intense battles. From Turkey's perspective, these same Kurdish groups pose a significant threat to their national security, leading to ongoing military campaigns. Turkey links these Kurdish groups to the PKK, which has been involved in a long-standing insurgency against the Turkish state. The PKK is recognized as a terrorist organization, not only by Turkey, but also by the US and the European Union, complicating the situation further. This fundamental difference in perspective between Turkey and the US is at the heart of the ongoing conflict and diplomatic tensions. Turkey's military actions have led to significant civilian casualties, drawing international condemnation and raising humanitarian concerns. Additionally, these operations have displaced thousands of people, forcing them to flee their homes and seek refuge in increasingly crowded camps. The resulting instability has further exacerbated the already volatile situation in the region, making peace and security even more elusive. The US has publicly condemned Turkey's actions, calling for an immediate cessation of military operations to prevent further escalation. Diplomatic efforts have been made to resolve the conflict, but Turkey maintains that its actions are necessary for its national security. Turkey argues that its military operations are essential to protect its borders and citizens from terrorist threats. They emphasize that these actions are aimed at ensuring the safety and security of the Turkish nation. Turkey claims to be targeting terrorist elements within Syria, a point that the US strongly disputes, arguing that these actions are counterproductive. US officials believe that Turkey's military operations undermine the broader fight against ISIS and destabilize the region. They argue that these actions divert resources and attention away from the critical mission of defeating ISIS. The situation in northern Syria is a complex quagmire with no straightforward solutions in sight. The international community continues to grapple with finding a balanced approach to address the myriad challenges. The US is trying to balance its strategic interests, maintaining its alliance with Turkey while supporting its Kurdish partners. Diplomatic efforts are ongoing, with US officials meeting their Turkish counterparts to find a resolution. The US remains committed to protecting its Kurdish allies who have been crucial in the fight against ISIS while navigating the complex geopolitical landscape. As Section 3. Objectives of the Act. The Countering Turkish Aggression Act of 2024 has several key objectives. First, it aims to deter future Turkish military actions in Syria. The Act sends a strong message. Continued aggression will have serious consequences. Second, the Act seeks to protect Syrian Kurdish communities. These communities were instrumental in the fight against ISIS. They are now facing attacks by Turkey. The US has a moral obligation to protect them. Third, the Act aims to uphold human rights. Turkey's military operations have caused civilian casualties and displacement. This is unacceptable. The US has a duty to stand up for human rights. Finally, the act seeks to prevent the resurgence of ISIS. Turkey's actions have destabilized the region. This creates a vacuum for ISIS to exploit. The US cannot allow this to happen. These objectives are all interconnected. They're essential to achieving peace and stability in Syria. The act is a necessary step towards that goal. Section 4, Key Provisions and Sanctions. The Act outlines several key provisions and sanctions. These measures are meticulously crafted to address specific issues and exert pressure on Turkey to change its policies and actions. These are designed to pressure Turkey. The aim is to create a significant impact that will compel the Turkish government to reconsider its current stance and actions. They target key individuals and sectors of the Turkish economy. By focusing on these critical areas, the sanctions are intended to disrupt the economic stability and operational capabilities of those in power. One provision imposes sanctions on high-ranking Turkish officials. This includes President Erdogan. The sanctions are not limited to him alone, but extend to other influential figures within the government. It also includes the vice president and key ministers. These individuals play crucial roles in the administration, and their sanctioning is meant to send a strong message. These sanctions involve asset freezes and visa restrictions. This means that their financial assets in the US will be inaccessible and their ability to travel to the US will be severely restricted. Another provision targets financial institutions. These measures are designed to cut off financial support and limit the economic resources available to the Turkish government. It prohibits US persons from engaging in transactions with these institutions. This restriction aims to isolate Turkey financially and reduce its ability to conduct international business. This applies if they knowingly facilitate transactions for the Turkish armed forces, specifically those related to Syrian operations. The goal is to hinder military operations that are deemed problematic. The Act also targets energy production in Syria. Energy resources are vital for any military operation, and by targeting this sector, the Act aims to weaken Turkey's military capabilities. It imposes sanctions on foreign entities supporting energy production, if it benefits Turkey's military or its allies. This includes any foreign companies or governments that are aiding Turkey's energy sector. These allies include Russia, Iran, and Turkish-backed militias. By targeting these alliances, the Act seeks to disrupt the support network that Turkey relies on. Furthermore, the Act prohibits the transfer of US defense articles and services to the Turkish armed forces. This is a significant measure aimed at limiting Turkey's military strength. This significantly restricts Turkey's access to American military equipment. Without access to advanced US technology, Turkey's military capabilities could be severely hampered. These are just some of the key provisions and sanctions outlined in the Act. Each provision is carefully designed to address specific issues and create a comprehensive strategy. They are designed to be comprehensive and impactful. The goal is to create a multifaceted approach that addresses various aspects of Turkey's actions and policies. The goal is to change Turkey's behavior. By applying pressure on multiple fronts, the Act aims to compel Turkey to alter its course. They want to achieve this through economic and diplomatic pressure. The hope is that these measures will lead to a positive change in Turkey's actions and policies. Section 5. Ethical Implications. The Countering Turkish Aggression Act of 2024 raises several ethical considerations. On the one hand, the Act aims to protect vulnerable populations. This includes Syrian Kurdish communities and other groups targeted by Turkey. It upholds the U.S. moral obligation to protect its allies. This is especially true given their role in combating ISIS. On the other hand, the Act could have negative humanitarian consequences. The sanctions could harm the Turkish economy. This could disproportionately impact ordinary Turkish citizens. It is crucial to consider the potential harm to civilians. This applies to both Turkish and Syrian populations. Furthermore, the Act could escalate tensions between the US and Turkey. This could have broader geopolitical ramifications. This is especially true given Turkey's strategic importance within NATO. It is essential to weigh the potential benefits of the Act against the potential risks. Ultimately, the ethical implications of the Act are complex. There are strong arguments to be made on both sides. Policymakers must carefully consider all of the potential consequences. This includes both intended and unintended before taking action. Section 6. Potential effectiveness. The effectiveness of the Countering Turkish Aggression Act of 2024 remains uncertain. This legislation aims to curb Turkey's aggressive actions through a series of economic and political sanctions. Its success hinges on several factors, including the robustness of the sanctions and the international community's willingness to enforce them. This includes Turkey's response and the level of international support. The global political landscape will play a crucial role in determining the Act's impact. The Act's effectiveness will depend on the extent to which it can alter Turkey's behavior. If the sanctions are perceived as a significant threat to Turkey's economy, they may be more inclined to comply. If Turkey perceives the sanctions as too costly, they may be more likely to comply with US demands. Economic pressure can be a powerful tool in international relations. However, Turkey may also choose to defy the sanctions. National pride and political considerations could lead them to resist external pressure. They could seek alternative partnerships with countries like Russia or China. These alliances could provide Turkey with the economic and political support needed to withstand US sanctions. International support is also crucial. The effectiveness of the Act will be significantly enhanced if other nations join the US in imposing sanctions. If the US acts unilaterally, the sanctions are less likely to have a significant impact. A coordinated international effort is essential for maximizing pressure on Turkey. However, if the international community presents a united front, it will exert greater pressure on Turkey. Unity among global powers can lead to more effective enforcement of the sanctions. Historical precedent provides some insights. Past sanctions have shown mixed results, but they offer valuable lessons for current strategies. Similar legislation in 2019 following Turkey's incursion into Syria led to a temporary ceasefire. This indicates that targeted sanctions can influence Turkey's actions, at least in the short term. This suggests that targeted sanctions can influence Turkey's actions. However, the sustainability of such measures is always a concern. However, the long-term effectiveness of such measures remains to be seen. The geopolitical landscape is ever-changing, and long-term strategies must adapt accordingly. The Act represents a significant gamble by the US. It underscores the seriousness of the situation and the U.S. commitment to protecting its interests and maintaining global stability. It reflects the seriousness of the situation and the U.S. commitment to protecting its interests. The military and economic stakes are high, and the US is prepared to take bold actions. However, whether it will achieve its intended goals remains uncertain. The future is unpredictable, and the outcomes of such international measures are never guaranteed.